The sky was just beginning to darken on I-95, the stretch running through North Carolina, where endless cotton fields were swallowed by the night. Samantha Sam, Reynolds gripped the steering wheel of her Peterbilt 389, the 18-wheeler rumbling like a great beast in the thin mist. Behind her in the trailer was a precious load of medical supplies bottles of specialized medication for children at the Duke Children's Medical Center in Durham, nearly 200 miles away. The clock on the dashboard blinked 6:47 p.m., and Sam knew she had less than 24 hours to make the delivery on time. Those kids, with their sunken eyes from illness, were waiting for every minute. She couldn't fail. Not ever. To the right of Sam, Rex, the sleek black German shepherd, rested his head on her thigh, his sharp eyes fixed on the road. To the left, Luna, the golden-brown German shepherd, sat upright like a sentry, her ears perked up in alertness. Both had once been warriors in the United States Marine Corps, alongside Sam, completing over 200 missions in Iraq, from detecting bombs to protecting convoys under enemy fire. Now, they were her family, her second pair of eyes, her reliable hands on long journeys. Sam gently patted Rex's head and whispered, "Ready for another night, buddy?" Rex's tail thumped softly against the seat, a habit he never lost from those dusty days in the desert. Suddenly, the CB radio in the truck crackled to life, interrupting Sam's train of thought. A voice from another driver, hoarse and urgent, came through. "Heads up on I-95, be careful. The Iron Vipers have been spotted near the Lumberton Rest area, about 15 miles ahead. They're causing trouble for drivers again." Sam tightened her grip on the steering wheel, her jaw clenched. Iron Viper's a name that any driver on the southeast route knew and feared. A notorious motorcycle gang, not just known for stealing cargo, but willing to do whatever it took to get what they wanted. Sam had heard the rumors about them, from flipping trucks to threatening drivers' lives, but she had never faced them directly. Tonight, it seemed her luck had run out. "Thanks for the heads up," she replied over the radio, her voice calm, but her eyes starting to skim the rear-view mirror. "Has anyone seen the cops around lately?" Only the static buzzed back in response. No signs of flashing lights, no sirens, just her, Rex, Luna, and the long road ahead. The gas tank was half full, a 50-gallon tank enough to take them another 100 miles, but she would have to stop sooner or later. Not in Lumberton, not tonight. The first light appeared in the rear-view mirror, tiny flickers like fireflies, but Sam knew all too well that it wasn't anything harmless. The roar of motorcycle engines echoed closer, each moment more intense. She counted 5 of them, slicing through the lane behind her at a terrifying speed. Rex and Luna both lifted their heads, ears perked up, muscles tense like coiled springs. "Stay calm, you two," Sam whispered, though she felt the adrenaline surging in her chest. This wasn't her first brush with danger, but that feeling, a mix of fear and excitement, had never faded since her days in Baghdad. The motorcycles were now clearly visible. Through the headlights, Sam saw them spread across both lanes, dressed in black leather with the coiled iron snake emblem of the Iron Vipers. One guy led the pack, his long hair tied back in a ponytail, signaling for her to slow down. Sam kept her foot on the gas, maintaining a steady 65 miles per hour, neither fast nor slow. She wasn't about to make it easy for them. But then from ahead, 3 more appeared, charging out from the side road on her right, blocking her path. 8 in total. A perfect trap. "How do they know we're here?" Sam muttered, her right hand reaching down into the gear bag behind the seat. It wasn't just an ordinary duffel bag. It was a tactical backpack from her military days, packed with satellite phone, a first aid kit, and special gear for Rex and Luna. She kept her eyes on the road, but in her mind, the lessons from Iraq flooded back. Assess the situation, find an escape route, never panic. The engine roared as a guy from the Viper surged up alongside the truck, close enough for Sam to see the snake tattoo on his neck through the window. "Pull over, babe," he shouted, his voice drowning out the wind. "Your cargo is ours now." Sam didn't respond, just glanced over at Rex and Luna. The 2 dogs had shifted into a ready stance, their eyes shining like 2 flames in the dark. They weren't pets. They were soldiers, and they knew when their owner needed them the most. The guy on the left slammed his hand against the car door, a loud bang echoing that made Rex growl softly, but Sam signaled with her hand for him to stay quiet. She gently pressed a brake, slowing down to 55 miles per hour, just enough for the Vipers to think she was giving in. In the rear-view mirror, she saw the leader, Jace Rattler Malone, a name whispered among drivers like a nightmare. Getting closer, his creepy grin illuminated by the headlights. He raised his hand, signaling his crew to tighten the noose. They wanted her to stop completely. Sam took a deep breath, feeling like she was back in the deserts of Iraq, when her convoy was ambushed in the dead of night. That time, Rex had spotted an IED 50 feet away, while Luna had distracted a sniper. Now, on the I-95 highway, the enemy wasn't wielding AK-47s, but the danger was just as real. "All right, you guys," she whispered to her two dogs, "let's just treat this like another day on the job." She pressed a button on the control panel, a small upgrade she had installed back from her military days. A thick cloud of white smoke erupted from both sides of the truck, legal but enough to obscure visibility, within a 100-foot radius. Panic screams erupted from the Iron Vipers as they lost sight of her in the haze. Sam gave a faint smile, her grip still firm on the steering wheel. This was just the first step. The real battle lay ahead, and she knew all too well. Jace Malone wouldn't give up easily. Can you feel the adrenaline pumping as Sam and his two dogs, Rex and Luna, turned the I-95 highway into a battleground? This is their moment to prove that teamwork can conquer any foe. Drop a comment saying Team Sam is unbeatable below to cheer on this amazing trio. Every comment is a rallying cry for loyalty and bravery. Together, we'll fuel their journey. Thank you. The thick white smoke enveloping I-95 acted like a curtain, shrouding Samantha Sam Reynolds' Peterbilt 389 and turning it into a ghost in the dark of night. The roar of the Iron Viper's motorcycle engines echoed in panic, mixed with curses that cut through the haze. Sam gripped the wheel tightly, her sharp eyes scanning the rear-view mirror. She knew the smoke only bought her a few minutes to assess the situation, but it wouldn't be enough to make a clean getaway. Jace Rattler Malone, the leader of the Vipers, wasn't the type to back down just because of a little trick like this. Rex and Luna sat still as statues in the cabin, their ears perked up, catching every tiny sound. Sam glanced over at them, feeling the unspoken bond forged through long nights in Iraq, where they had faced death on a daily basis. "Hang in there, you two," she said softly, her voice low but steady. Her left hand reached down to her tactical backpack, pulling out a small device of remote control she had added to the vehicle after leaving the Marines. It wasn't a weapon, but in Sam's hands, it was just as terrifying. She pressed the second button. From both sides of the truck, high-intensity strobe lights flashed on, emitting a blinding white light like military flares. The Iron Viper screamed in horror as the light pierced their eyes, turning the smoke screen into a dazzling nightmare. One guy lost control, his Harley skidding down the road, sparks flying before it came to a stop 20 feet from the truck. Sam gave a faint smile, not out of joy, but because she knew this tactic had worked. In Iraq, she had used strobe lights to blind enemy soldiers during nighttime ambushes. Now, on American soil, it was just as effective as ever. But Jace Malone was not easily defeated. Through the dissipating smoke, Sam saw his tall figure, his ponytail whipping in the wind as he rode the lead motorcycle of the pack. He shouted, his voice drowning out the roar of the engine, "Don't let that girl get away. Her stuff is worth a fortune." Sam frowned. Worth a fortune? This batch of drugs was crucial for the kids at Duke Children's Medical Center, but to a motorcycle gang? Unless something bigger was going on. She didn't have time to think any further. A loud bang echoed, and the windshield on the right side of the cabin shattered into a spiderweb of cracks. A bullet, unclear if it was from a shotgun or a handgun, narrowly missed Luna. The dog growled but remained in position at Sam's command. "Stay calm, Luna," she ordered, her voice as hard as steel. Her grip tightened on the steering wheel, her heart pounding fiercely. The Vipers weren't just looking to rob them. They were ready to kill. That changed everything. Sam slammed the gas, pushing the speed up to 70 miles per hour, the Peterbilt roaring like an angry beast. The motorcycle gang was hot on his tail, but the flashing lights and thick smoke had thrown them off their game. Over the CB radio, a familiar female voice came through, calm yet urgent. "Sam, this is Maria Torres, heading west on I-95. I heard about your situation on the airwaves. There are more Vipers coming from the south, about 10 miles behind you. Be careful, they're trying to box you in." Maria, a driver Sam had met at a rest stop near Raleigh, was clearly keeping a close eye on things. "Thank you, Maria," Sam replied, her voice calm even though her mind was racing. If Maria was right, she was caught in a double trap, 8 Vipers behind her and an unknown number ahead. The I-95 had no exits nearby, and the Lumberton station, 10 miles south, was the only place she could seek help. But stopping meant handing over delivery and her life to the Vipers. Rex suddenly growled, his eyes fixed ahead. Sam followed his gaze and saw the flickering headlights in the distance, at least 4 more motorcycles barreling toward them at over 80 miles per hour. They spread out across the road, blocking both lanes. "All right, Jace," she muttered. "You want to play hardball?" Her right hand slipped back into the backpack, pulling out a tactical vest not for her, but for Rex and Luna. They were designed from military days, featuring lightweight bulletproof protection and small signal lights. Sam tossed the vest to Luna first, then to Rex, commanding, "Get ready, you two. It's time to work." She pressed another button on the control panel, activating the sound system, not the blaring horn of a car, but the simulated growl of a hunting dog, once used to distract the enemy in Iraq. The growl echoed through the speakers mounted under the chassis, startling the Vipers behind them, with a few nearly losing control of their vehicles. But Jace remained unfazed. He surged up alongside the cabin, close enough for Sam to see his bloodshot eyes through the glass. "Stop right now or I'll blow your head off," he roared, raising a shotgun to window level. It was the moment Sam had been waiting for. She flashed her headlights twice, a signal that Rex and Luna understood immediately. Both dogs sprang to their feet, pressing against the windows on either side of the cabin, baring their teeth and growling. Their tactical vests lit up with red signal lights, making them look like 2 living war machines. Jace jumped, his hands unsteady on the wheel, the shotgun nearly slipping from his grip. "What the hell is that?" he shouted, his voice shaky. In the mirror, Sam saw the others hesitate, no one expecting a truck driver to have 2 monsters like that. Sam seized the opportunity, flooring the gas pedal as the Peterbilt surged forward at 75 miles per hour, forcing the motorcycles ahead to scatter to the sides. But she knew this wasn't the end. The shotgun fired again, this time hitting the back of the truck and creating a small hole. The cargo was still safe, but Sam could feel it. Jace and the Iron Vipers wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. And that thing, she was starting to suspect, was not just a shipment of drugs she was carrying. Through the radio, Maria's voice came through again. "Sam, I'm turning around 5 miles away from you. The cops still haven't shown up. Do you have a plan?" Sam took a deep breath, her eyes fixed straight ahead, where the lights of the new Vipers flickered in the distance. "I do," she replied, her voice icy. "These 2, and I have never backed down. Get ready, Maria. Tonight is going to be a long one." The I-95 highway shook under the power of the Peterbilt 389 as Samantha, Sam, Reynolds hit the gas, barreling past the Iron Vipers at 75 miles per hour. The cloud of white smoke and the blinding strobe lights still disrupted their formation, but Sam knew better. Jace Rattler Malone and his notorious motorcycle gang weren't going to back down easily. The shotgun blast echoed behind her, another shot hitting the truck, but the medical supplies for Duke Children's Medical Center were still safe, at least for now. Over the CB radio, Maria Torres's worried voice crackled through. "Sam, I'm 5 miles out, turning around. There are more of them than I thought. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Sam replied, her voice as tough as steel, even though her heart was pounding in her chest. "But these guys aren't playing around, Maria. Keep your distance, and if you see the cops, let me know right away." She glanced at Rex and Luna, the 2 German shepherds in tactical vests, their eyes shining like headlights in the dark cabin. They stood firm, unflinching and fearless, just waiting for her signal. Sam offered a faint smile, feeling like she was back in Iraq, when the 3 of them were an unstoppable team amidst the chaos of the battlefield. The Vipers ahead had split to the sides, but in the rear-view mirror, Sam could see Jace and the others tightening their grip behind them. The roar of motorcycle engines howled like wolves in the night, getting closer by the second. One guy surged up on the left, wielding a long metal rod, and slammed against the side of the car with a deafening clang that made Rex growl softly. Sam signaled with her hand, "Stay calm, buddy." She didn't want to unleash Rex and Luna just yet. It wasn't the right time, but she knew that if Jace kept pushing, she wouldn't have any choice left. What do they want with this shipment? Sam muttered, her eyes scanning the road ahead. The I-95 stretched endlessly, with no exit in sight for 10 miles. The Lumberton rest stop was her only hope, but with the Vipers from the south closing in, stopping as Maria warned meant surrender. She needed a plan, and she needed it fast. Her right hand slid down to the dashboard, activating the infrared mode, a small upgrade from her military days that allowed her to see through the night via the windshield. The motorcycle gang ahead came into sharp focus. For bikes, about 300 feet away, trying to block her path. Suddenly, another bang echoed, this time hitting the right mirror and shattering it into pieces. Sam leaned away to dodge the shards of glass, but she didn't slow down. "Nice try, Jace," she gritted her teeth. "You want to play hardball?" She pressed the last button on the control panel, a modification she was most proud of. Steel plates shot out from the sides of the truck, covering the weak spots of the Peterbilt. Not a weapon, but enough to turn this machine into a mobile fortress. The sound of metal clashing rang out as a Viper's thug tried to jab a metal rod into the truck, only to have it bounce back, nearly knocking him off his feet. Rex and Luna sprang up simultaneously, pressing against the windows on either side, baring their teeth and growling. The red lights on their tactical vests flashed, a sight that startled the nearest guy, causing him to swerve the wheel. "Did you see that, Jace?" he yelled over the howling wind. "That girl's got a war dog." Sam heard Jace cursing from a distance, but he didn't stop. He charged to the right side of the cabin, shotgun raised high, aiming straight at the window where Luna was standing. "Stop right there, or I'll blow your dog's head off," he roared. That was Jace's biggest mistake. Sam flashed the headlights 3 times, a signal that Rex and Luna had been trained to recognize through hundreds of missions. Both dogs jumped up onto the window ledge, pushing their heads to the lowered glass, growling fiercely. Their growls echoed across the highway, blending with the simulated speaker under the car, creating a deadly symphony. Jace jumped in surprise, his shotgun firing off target, the bullet harmlessly soaring into the sky. His motorcycle skidded out of control, nearly crashing into his teammate. Sam seized the opportunity, gently turning the wheel to push the Peterbilt into the left lane, shoving another Viper's guy off the road. The sound of metal scraping against asphalt echoed as his Harley wobbled and then crashed about 50 feet away from her. "One down. 7 to go," she muttered, her eyes glued to the road. But 4 more Vipers were coming in from the south, barreling toward her at over 85 miles per hour, their headlights glaring like devilish eyes in the dark. They teamed up with the ones behind, trapping Sam in a deadly crossfire. The CB radio crackled to life. "Sam, this is Maria. I see you 2 miles north. But this new group, they have rifles. You need to get out of there now." Maria's voice trembled, but Sam remained calm. Rifles? That explained the louder explosion from earlier. This wasn't just a typical robbery. The Iron Vipers were playing a bigger game than she had thought. She glanced at Rex and Luna, noticing their eyes shining in the darkness. "All right, you guys," she said, her voice low but filled with determination. "It's time to show what we're made of." She gently hit the brakes, slowing down to 60 miles per hour, just enough for the Vipers to think she was backing off. Jace, recovering from his slide, surged ahead once more, a smug grin plastered across his face under the lights. "No more road left for you, sis," he shouted. But Sam didn't look at him. She focused on the infrared screen, where the group ahead was tightening their formation. She flipped another switch this time. From under the car, a shower of tiny steel spikes fell, scattering across the road behind her. Not lethal, but enough to puncture the tires of anyone who got too close in pursuit. The sound of thud-thud echoed as 2 motorcycles behind hit a nail, their tires deflated, wobbling before crashing down. Jace turned back, cursing loudly, but didn't dare slow down. Sam smiled, not out of victory, but because she knew she had just gained a few precious seconds. 3 down, 9 to go, she whispered. But the group ahead was now only 100 feet away, and through the infrared screen, Sam saw a guy raising a rifle, aiming straight at the cabin. "Rex, Luna down," she shouted, flooring the gas pedal as the Peterbilt shot forward like a steel arrow. The gunfire erupted, a bullet whizzing through the windshield, grazing Sam's shoulder and leaving a small streak of blood on her shirt. She gritted her teeth, refusing to let the pain distract her. The Vipers in front scattered, but not fast enough. One was struck by the truck's front end, flying 30 feet before crashing down onto the roadside. "Sam, are you okay?" Maria shouted over the radio. "I see smoke coming from your car." Sam quickly checked. It wasn't smoke, just steam from the overworked engine. "I'm fine," she replied, her voice hoarse from adrenaline. "But they're not going to stop. Get ready, Maria. I need you to do something." In the rearview mirror, she saw Jace and the others still on their tail, his eyes blazing like fire. The battle had only just begun, and Sam knew. She and her 2 dogs were about to unleash everything they had survived. Samantha, Sam, Reynolds' Peterbilt 389 roared down I-95 like a wounded steel beast, steam rising from the engine after the collision with the Iron Viper's motorcycle. A bullet grazed her shoulder, leaving a warm streak of blood on her shirt, but Sam didn't pay attention to the pain. She gripped the steering wheel tightly, her eyes glued to the infrared screen, where the Vipers ahead were regrouping less than 80 feet away. Behind her, Jace, Rattler, Malone, and 5 other motorcycles were tailing closely, undeterred by the 2 comrades who had just gone down from her spikes. Through the CB radio, Maria Torres' voice crackled urgently. "Sam, I see you a mile out, but there are too many of them. What do you need me to do?" Sam took a deep breath, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Maria, listen carefully," she said, her voice low but sharp. "I need you to run parallel to me, half a mile to the north. When I give the signal, you turn on all the headlights and the siren to confuse them. Don't get too close, got it?" Maria hesitated for a second, then replied, "Got it, Sam. Watch your back." Sam nodded even though Maria couldn't see her, her right hand reaching down to check on Rex and Luna. Both German shepherds remained flat on the cabin floor as commanded, their tactical vests flashing red lights, eyes bright and alert, waiting for the moment to shine. The Vipers up ahead were now just 50 feet away, and one guy raised his rifle again, aiming straight at the cabin. Sam leaned over and shouted, "Get down!" just as the bang echoed. The bullet shattered through the windshield, leaving a round hole right where she had just been sitting, grazing the leather seat just inches away from Rex. The dog growled, but remained still, the iron discipline from his Marine Corps training keeping him in place. Sam shot up, slammed the gas pedal to the floor, and the Peterbilt roared to life, barreling straight into the crowd ahead at 80 miles per hour. The deafening clash of metal rang out as the truck's nose slammed into another motorcycle, sending it flying 40 feet down the roadside. The rest scattered, but they didn't give up. They circled like a pack of wolves, waiting for the chance to strike. Jace, coming up from behind, surged to the left of the cab, his shotgun raised high. "You've got nowhere to run," he roared, a sinister grin spreading across his face in the headlights. But Sam didn't look at him. She focused on Rex and Luna's eyes, seeing the absolute trust they had in her. "All right, you guys," she whispered. "It's time." She flashed the high beams 4 times, a signal that Rex and Luna had been trained for in the most critical situations. Both dogs sprang into action, leaping to the lower windows, standing on a ledge like 2 sentinels ready for battle. They roared fiercely, their growls blending with the simulated speaker under the vehicle, creating a terrifying sound that echoed across the highway. Jace flinched, his shotgun misfiring once again, the bullet flying off into the darkness. The Vipers behind him panicked, 2 of the guys losing control and crashing down about 60 feet away as their tires skidded on the wet pavement. Sam seized opportunity, spun the wheel, and pushed the Peterbilt over to the right lane, forcing another Viper's guy onto the shoulder. His Harley slammed into a marker, sparks flying before it came to a stop. 5 down, 7 to go, she muttered, her eyes glued to the infrared screen. But the group ahead was relentless, and through the glass, she saw a guy loading fresh rounds into his rifle, this time armor-piercing rounds, the kind that could punch right through her reinforced steel. Damn it, she gritted her teeth. This was no longer just a heist. They wanted her dead. The CB radio crackled to life. Sam, I'm in position. Maria shouted, ready to go. Sam nodded, pressing the smoke button once more. A thick cloud of white smoke erupted, enveloping the highway within a 150-foot radius. Now, Maria, she commanded. From the north, the blinding headlights of Maria's truck lit up, accompanied by the deafening wail of its siren, like an air raid alarm. The Vipers in front jolted, their formation breaking apart as the light and sound from two directions disoriented them. Rex and Luna stood on the windowsill, leaping outside not to attack, but to create chaos. They dashed alongside the truck, growling and barreling through the Vipers with terrifying speed. One guy yelled, "Dogs! War dogs!" before losing control and crashing down about 30 feet from Sam. Jace, from the left, tried to shoot again, but Luna darted right in front of him, causing the bullet to go astray. He cursed loudly, but he didn't dare pursue. The presence of the two dogs in tactical vests moving like shadows was enough to make anyone hesitate. Sam seized the opportunity, flooring the gas pedal to surge past the group ahead. The Peterbilt roared through the haze at a blistering 85 miles per hour. Rex and Luna sprinted alongside, leaping back into the cabin to the windows with the precision of living machines. "Great job, you two," Sam said, her voice tinged with pride. In the rear-view mirror, she saw the Vipers falling behind, 3 more of them spinning out from the smoke and Maria's blaring horn, leaving only Jace and 3 other guys in pursuit. But the gap was now 200 feet, and she was closing in on the Lumberton station just 5 miles to the south. "You did it, Sam," Maria shouted over the radio, her voice a mix of astonishment and relief. "I've never seen anyone handle a pack of Vipers like that." Sam offered a faint smile, wiping a streak of blood from her shoulder. "It's not over yet," she replied. "These guys don't give up easily. Something bigger is going on." She glanced at Rex and Luna, seeing the readiness in their eyes. These 2 dogs weren't just veterans. They were the heart and soul of her, the reason she had never backed down, whether in Iraq or on the I-95 highway. Through the infrared screen, Sam saw Jace and the others picking up speed, closing the gap to 150 feet. He shouted something, but the wind carried his words away. Sam gripped the steering wheel tighter, feeling like she was back on the battlefield where every second was a line between life and death. "All right, Jace," she murmured. "Want to test your luck against us? Bring it on." She pressed the final button on the control panel, and a new series of brighter, more powerful strobe lights burst to life from the roof of the truck, turning the Peterbilt into a mobile beacon. The Vipers behind let out horrified cries as the light pierced their eyes, disorienting them once again. Sam looked straight ahead, the Lumberton station emerging faintly in the darkness. She knew she wasn't completely free yet, but with Rex and Luna by her side, she had something Jace would never understand. The strength of an unbeatable trio, forged through fire and loyalty. This battle wasn't over, but Sam was ready, and she wouldn't stop until the shipment reached the kids in Durham, no matter what it cost. The Lumberton rest stop appeared in the darkness like a small oasis along the desolate I-95, less than 4 miles from Samantha Sam Reynolds. Her Peterbilt 389 roared down the highway at 80 miles per hour, the flashing lights on top of the truck flickering fiercely, turning the steel beast into a moving flame against the night sky of North Carolina. Rex and Luna, 2 German shepherds in tactical vests, sat upright in the cab, their eyes shining bright like headlights, ready for any command from Sam. In the rear-view mirror, she spotted Jace rattling Malone and the last 3 motorcycles of the Iron Vipers tailing her, about 150 feet behind. His bloodshot eyes glinting in the flickering light. The CB radio crackled to life, and Maria Torres's worried voice came through. "Sam, I see the Lumberton station. Are you going to stop or keep going? The Vipers aren't giving up." Sam glanced at the blood on her shoulder where the bullet had grazed her, and the pain began to throb, but she pushed it aside. "No stopping, Maria," she replied, her voice low but firm. If I slow down, they'll trap me from both sides. I need you there first to check if the station is safe." Maria sighed over the radio, but didn't argue. "Got it. I'll be there in 2 minutes." "Be careful, Sam." Sam eased off the throttle to 70 miles per hour, just enough to keep her distance from Jace without overloading the engine. Through the infrared screen, she noticed the Vipers behind her had stopped their reckless attacks. They were moving more organized, as if they were waiting for something. "Something's not right," she muttered, her hand reaching into her tactical backpack for the satellite phone, a relic from a Marine Corps, but more reliable than any smartphone on this highway. She dialed Ben Hayes, the owner of the Lumberton station, a veteran who had served in Afghanistan, someone she had gotten to know through previous shipments. The bell rang twice before Ben's hoarse voice replied. "Sam? Trouble tonight." Sam didn't beat around the bush. "Ben, I'm 3 miles from the station, being chased by iron vipers. They have rifles. This isn't a typical robbery. Is the station safe?" There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Ben answered, "I don't see any cops around, but I've heard rumors that the Vipers are targeting some medical supply trucks lately. What do you have in the back?" Sam frowned, her voice tightening. "Special medication for kids at Duke Children's Hospital." "Why?" Ben sighed, as if weighing something in his mind. "Listen, Sam, I'm not sure, but last week, a driver came through here and said the Vipers aren't just hijacking our deliveries for someone. There was this stranger who showed up at the station, wearing a black suit, asking about the truck carrying medical supplies. I chased him off, but..." Ben's voice trailed off, and then he continued, "If you come here, I'll lock down the station, keep them out behind the fence. But be careful, I suspect there's something bigger going on." Sam turned off her phone, her eyes glued to the road. "The guy in the black suit?" she muttered. This batch of drugs was precious to the kids in Durham, but to a motorcycle gang like the Iron Vipers, it was only worth a few $1,000, not enough for them to risk using rifles and tailing them like this. Unless Ben was right, they weren't working alone. She glanced at Rex and Luna, noticing the tension in their stances. "You guys feel that too?" she asked quietly. Rex's tail thumped softly against the seat, a small sign, but enough for Sam to know they were on high alert. Through the mirror, she saw Jay signaling to his accomplices. One guy stepped forward, holding something that looked like a small device. Not a gun, a scanner. Sam frowned. She had seen similar devices in Iraq used to detect radio signals or GPS locations. If they had that, it meant they weren't just blindly chasing her. They knew exactly what she was carrying or were looking for something specific in the back of the truck. "This isn't good," she whispered, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Suddenly, a sharp whoosh echoed, and a bright flare shot through the cabin, embedding itself in the roadside about 20 feet away from her. It wasn't a bullet, but a military flare, used to mark a target. Sam leaned over, her heart pounding. A flare? Who are they calling? Through the infrared screen, she spotted a larger shadow emerging in the distance, not a motorcycle, but black SUV, barreling in from the south at over 90 miles per hour. Its headlights were off, but through the infrared lens, Sam could see it clearly. It was armored, the kind of vehicle she had encountered during operations in the Middle East. The CB radio crackled to life again, this time with Maria's voice, almost frantic. "Sam, there's a black SUV that just passed me. It's not one of the Vipers. It looks military. Do you see it?" Sam nodded, even though Maria couldn't see her. "I see it," she replied, her voice icy. "Maria, lock down the station with Ben as soon as you get there. Don't go outside until I get back to you." She switched off the radio, her eyes fixed on the SUV, now just 500 feet behind Jace. "Rex, Luna, are you ready?" she asked, pressing the smoke button again. A cloud of white smoke erupted, enveloping the highway within a 100-foot radius. But this time she didn't use a strobe light. She wanted them to completely lose track of her. The Peterbilt barreled into the darkness, but Sam knew that SUV hadn't shown up by chance. The Iron Vipers weren't just a gang of road thieves. They were pawns in a much larger game, and her shipment was the piece someone desperately wanted claim. The Lumberton station is now just 2 miles away, but with the armored SUV and Jace tailing them, Sam felt the trap tightening. She glanced at Rex and Luna, seeing the determination in their eyes, warriors who had faced death alongside her in Iraq. "All right, you guys," she said, her voice tinged with pride. "We're not out of this yet, but this time, the enemy isn't just the Vipers." A dark conspiracy began to unfold, and Sam knew she had just stepped into a battle much bigger than this highway. A thick veil of white smoke enveloped Interstate 95, shrouding Samantha, Sam, Reynolds' Peterbilt 389 in darkness. But she knew it wasn't enough to escape the armored SUV barreling toward her from the south. The Lumberton station was now just 2 miles away, its dim lights flickering like a lighthouse in a storm, but with Jace rattling Malone and the Iron Vipers tailing her at a mere 100 feet, along with a black SUV 400 feet behind. Sam felt the trap tightening around her like never before. Rex and Luna, her 2 German shepherds in tactical vests, sat silently in the cabin, ears perked up, catching every sound, ready to spring into action at her command. Sam slowed down to 65 miles per hour, just enough to keep her distance from Jace without overloading the Peterbilt, steam still rising from the engine after the tense minutes of the chase. Through the infrared screen, she saw the black SUV moving with a terrifying precision. No headlights, no sirens, but its speed of over 90 miles per hour indicated it was no ordinary vehicle. "Military," she muttered, memories from Iraq flooding back armored Humvees, silently crossing the desert, carrying dangers unseen. But on the North Carolina highway, in the pitch black of night, who was this enemy? The CB radio crackled to life, and Ben Hayes' urgent voice came through. "Sam, Maria just arrived at the station. I've locked the gate, but something's not right. I see a flare light in the distance. Are you okay?" Sam glanced at the blood on her shoulder, a sharp pain shooting through her every time she moved her left arm, but she brushed it aside. "I'm fine, Ben," she replied, her voice icy. "But there's an armored SUV chasing me, and it's not one of the Vipers. The flare is from them. I think they're marking me for someone. Is there anything unusual at the station?" Ben fell silent for a moment, then said, "There's a guy who just showed up 5 minutes ago, standing outside the fence, wearing a black suit like last time. He hasn't said a word, just staring inside like he's waiting. I don't like this, Sam. It's like he knows you're about to arrive." Sam tightened her grip on the steering wheel, her eyes glued to the infrared screen. "Black suit," she repeated, her voice dropping. "Ben, keep Maria safe and don't open the gate for anyone but me. I'll be there in 90 seconds. She turned off the radio, her right hand reaching down to her tactical backpack, pulling out a small dagger not for attacking, but to cut the straps if she needed to get out of the vehicle quickly. "Rex, Luna," she whispered. "Get ready. Something bigger than the Vipers is coming." Rex's tail thumped softly against the seat, while Luna let out a low growl. They sensed a shift in her voice, just like those days in Iraq when she'd spotted an ambush before the whole team did. Through the dissipating smoke, Sam saw Jace and the Vipers behind suddenly slow down, as if they had received a new command. The black SUV barreled past them, racing forward at a terrifying speed, now just 200 feet away from her. Another whoosh echoed as another flare shot up, this time soaring higher, lighting up the night sky for 10 seconds before fading away. Sam leaned to the side, her heart pounding. "They're calling for backup," she murmured, her eyes scanning the rearview mirror. In the distance, she spotted 2 more dark shapes, not motorcycles, but pickup trucks emerging from a side road a mile to the south. "Damn it," she gritted her teeth. This was no ordinary robbery. This was a planned operation, and she was the main target. The medical shipment for Duke Children's Medical Center, specialized medications for kids, was valuable to the hospital, but to an organization with armored vehicles and military sirens? There was something in that truck that she didn't know about, or someone thought she was carrying something else. What do they want? She wondered, but there was no time for answers. Sam pressed the flashing light button again, the blinding white light bursting from the top of the car, obscuring the view of the SUV behind her. She slammed on the gas, speeding up to 75 miles per hour, barreling straight toward the Lumberton station, now just a mile away. Through the infrared screen, she saw the SUV showing no signs of slowing down. It adjusted its course, tailing her like a steel shadow. Jace and the Vipers fell behind, now 300 feet away, as if they were giving way to the newcomer. Suddenly, a small explosion echoed from the cargo holding not a bullet, but something colliding hard. Sam checked the cargo monitoring screen and saw a small hole in the side of the container, but the crates of medicine were still intact. "What the hell is that?" she muttered, then realized. An arrow with a tracking device, the kind she had seen on missions in the Middle East. Someone didn't just want to steal the cargo. They wanted to track it or her. Rex growled, his ears perked up and facing backward. Sam glanced at the dog, noticing the tension in his eyes. "Do you hear something?" she asked. Luna also turned her head, sniffing the air. Then she heard the low rumble of an engine, different from the roar of Vipers or SUVs. A helicopter, far off but getting closer. "No way," she whispered, her heart racing. On the North Carolina highway, in the dead of night, a helicopter meant the enemy wasn't just wealthy, they had power. The Lumberton station was now just 500 feet away, its lights shining brighter, but Sam spotted the silhouette of the guy in the black suit that Ben had mentioned, standing outside the fence, holding something that looked like a walkie-talkie. She gritted her teeth, feeling like she was back in Iraq, when a mole had marked her convoy for the enemy. "Rex, Luna," she said, her voice sharp as ice. "Get ready to fight. We're about to face something much bigger." The SUV was now just 100 feet away, and the sound of the helicopter grew louder. The dark plot was unfolding, and Sam knew. She wasn't just fighting for the cargo, but for her own life and the lives of her two dogs. If your heart races as Sam and his two loyal dogs, Rex and Luna, face this deadly trap, hit like and cheer them on, and subscribe to the Legendary Narratives channel, so you won't miss a moment in the fight for loyalty among friends who are ready to live and die for each other. Samantha Sam Reynolds Peterbilt 389 roared down the I-95 at 75 miles per hour. The lights of the Lumberton station just 500 feet away, but the low rumble of a helicopter in the distance sent chills down her spine. The pitch-black armored SUV was tailing her at a steady 100 feet, showing no signs of backing off, even with Sam's white smoke still lingering behind. Rex and Luna, her two German shepherds in tactical vests, stood alert in the cabin, ears perked up, noses sniffing the air as they sensed a threat far greater than Jace Rattler Malone's Iron Vipers, who were now trailing behind at a distance of 300 feet. Sam scanned the infrared screen and spotted a guy in the black suit standing outside the Lumberton station, holding a radio, his lifeless eyes fixed on her. "He knows me," she muttered, memories from Iraq flooding back in an instant. Her team marked by a mole, leading to a bloody ambush where only she, Rex, and Luna survived. Now, on American soil, that feeling returned, sharp as a knife at her throat. She tightened her grip on the steering wheel, the blood on her shoulder throbbing, but she wouldn't let it distract her. "Rex, Luna," she commanded, her voice as hard as steel. "Battle positions?" Both dogs moved immediately, Rex pressing against the left window, Luna on the right, their eyes shining bright in the darkness. Sam hit the smoke button one last time, a thick cloud of white smoke bursting out, covering the highway within a 150-foot radius. She slammed on the gas, speeding up to 80 miles per hour, barreling straight toward the station. Through the surveillance screen, she saw the tracking arrow still attached to the truck, a small device, but enough for the enemy to know her exact location. "They don't just want the cargo," she whispered. "They want me too." The sound of the helicopter grew clearer, a shadowy figure appearing in the night sky, less than 2 miles from the highway. Sam glanced up, seeing the flashing red lights. Not police, not rescue. "Private military," she muttered, recognizing the upgraded Black Hawk helicopter she had seen in operations in the Middle East. Someone with money, with power, was targeting her, but why? The batch of specialized medication for children at Duke Children's Medical Center couldn't possibly be worth this much, unless it was a cover for something bigger. The CB radio crackled to life, and Ben Hayes sounded almost frantic. "Sam, I see the helicopter." The guy in the suit just said something over the radio. I think he called it in. "How far are you?" Sam glanced at the clock. The Lumberton station was only 200 feet away. 30 seconds, she replied, her voice icy. "Ben, lock down the station. Don't let anyone in, not even the police, until I give the word." Ben panted. "Got it? Maria is helping me reinforce the gate. Be careful. Some I hear gunfire in the distance. Sam turned off the radio, her eyes glued to the SUV behind her. It barreled through the smoke at a terrifying speed, now just 50 feet away, with two figures sticking out from the side windows, holding automatic rifles. Damn it, she gritted her teeth. This wasn't just a bunch of Vipers anymore. These were professional mercenaries, the kind she had faced in Iraq while protecting weapon convoys. A loud bang echoed as a bullet pierced the reinforced steel at the back of the truck, leaving a hole larger than before. The cargo was still safe, but Sam knew one more shot into the cabin, and she, along with Rex and Luna, wouldn't stand a chance. She flashed the high beams 5 times, a distress signal that Rex and Luna had been trained to recognize since their military days. Both dogs bolted out the window, leaping onto the highway with the speed and precision of living machines. They didn't attack just yet. Instead, they ran alongside the truck, growling fiercely, creating a wall of sound that disoriented the enemy. In the mirror, Sam saw the SUV sway as the two gunmen flinched, their aim thrown off. A bullet whizzed harmlessly into the roadside, just 10 feet away from Rex. Sam spun the steering wheel, guiding the Peterbilt into the left lane, barreling straight through the gate that Ben had opened for him. The sound of metal clanging echoed as the truck came to a halt in the yard, 20 feet away from the fence. Rex and Luna jumped back into the cab through the window, standing guard in front of Sam like two loyal sentinels. Outside, an SUV stopped 100 feet from the station, its headlights blazing, shining directly at her. The helicopter was now just a mile away, the thrum of its blades drowning out the sounds of the night wind. Jace and the rest of the Vipers appeared in the distance, but they stopped 200 feet away from the SUV, as if they were afraid to get any closer. Sam watched as a guy in a black suit approached the SUV, exchanging words with someone inside a tall figure dressed in black, exuding a distinctly military vibe. "Marcus Kane," she murmured, the name flashing in her mind a former Delta Force operative she had heard rumors about in the military, discharged for smuggling military equipment. If he was here, then this shipment was not just drugs. It was the key to a much larger conspiracy. Ben burst out of the station, holding a shotgun, while Maria stood behind him with a large wrench. "Sam, are you okay?" Ben shouted. Sam nodded, stepping out of the vehicle, still gripping her dagger. "I'm fine," she replied, her eyes fixed on the SUV. "But they're not here for the medical supplies. There's something bigger going on. Ben, Maria, get inside. I'll handle these two." She glanced at Rex and Luna, seeing the determination in their eyes. The helicopter was now just 500 feet away, its spotlight sweeping over the station, and Sam knew. The dark plot had fully revealed itself a network far beyond the Iron Vipers, and she was the final target they wanted to capture. The Lumberton station was now just a fading shadow in the rearview mirror as Samantha Sam Reynolds drove her Peterbilt 389 off the I-95 highway, turning onto a narrow dirt road that led up into the Blue Ridge Highlands. The roar of an upgraded Black Hawk helicopter still echoed overhead. Less than a mile from the station, its searchlight sweeping down like a predator's eye. A pitch-black armored SUV trailed her at a distance of 200 feet, along with two pickup trucks that had merged from the highway into a coordinated force that Sam knew couldn't be organized by Jace Rattler Malone's Iron Vipers alone. Marcus Kane, the former Delta Force operative she suspected was behind this scheme, was leading the chase, and the medical shipment for Duke Children's Medical Center was a bait he was determined not to let slip away. Rex and Luna sat upright in the cabin, their tactical vests flashing red lights, eyes shining brightly in the darkness. Sam glanced over at them, feeling the unspoken bond with these two German shepherds who had fought alongside her through the fiercest battles in Iraq, and now, here in America, they were her only hope. "Are you guys ready?" she whispered, gripping the steering wheel tightly as the dirt road began to incline, leading into the rugged terrain of the Blue Ridge Mountains, 15 miles west of Highway 15. The Peterbilt engine roared, steam rising from the previous overload, but the steel machine held its ground. The CB radio crackled to life, and Ben Hayes' worried voice came through. "Sam, where are you?" The helicopter just swept over the station, and I saw that guy in a suit get in the car with those others. "They're after you." Sam took a deep breath, the pain from the blood on her shoulder flaring up, but she kept her voice steady. "Ben, I can't let them catch me at the station. It's too dangerous for you and Maria. I'll lead them up Blue Ridge, buy some time, call the police, let them know about the helicopter and Marcus Kane, the former Delta Force. They need to understand this is bigger than the Iron Vipers. Ben gasped. Got it? Maria is in touch with our driver network. We'll find a way to help. Be careful, Sam. She turned off the radio, her eyes glued to the dirt road that had now transformed into a bumpy gravel path. The Blue Ridge highland stretched out before her, a desolate expanse with towering cliffs and dense pine forests, sitting 3,000 feet above sea level. Sam had run through here during her Marine Corps training, and she knew this terrain could be either an advantage or the ultimate trap. Through the infrared screen, she spotted the lead SUV, 2 pickup trucks tailing closely behind, and a helicopter now just 3,000 feet above, its spotlight sweeping down the road as if trying to tear apart the darkness. They outnumber us, Sam muttered, her hand reaching into her tactical backpack to pull out an old paper map she had carried since her military days. She scanned it quickly, searching for a checkpoint at a narrow bend 2 miles ahead, where the road was squeezed between 2 50-foot cliffs. All right, she said to Rex and Luna. We'll intercept them there. She pressed the smoke button again, a plume of white smoke billowing from the vehicle, obscuring the road within a 100-foot radius. This time, she also activated the high-intensity strobe light, the blinding white beams cutting to the smoke, disorienting the enemy. The SUV barreled through the smoke, not slowing down as it slammed straight into a large rock by the roadside, swerving wildly about 150 feet away from Sam. The sound of metal crashing echoed, but it quickly regained its composure and continued the chase. Professional, huh? Sam gritted his teeth, gripping the steering wheel to dodge a deep pothole in the road. 2 small trucks lagged behind, about 300 feet back, but the helicopter had now descended lower, just 1,000 feet above the ground, the whir of the blades drowning out the sound of the forest wind. A cold voice crackled through the loudspeaker from above. Samantha Reynolds, pull over immediately. Hand over the cargo, and you will live. Sam smirked, not responding. Marcus Kane, she murmured, recognizing the military tone in his brief, sharp, uncompromising voice. He knew her name wasn't a coincidence. She had heard the rumors about Kane in the military, a talented special ops soldier who was discharged for selling military equipment to private organizations, from firearms to tactical data. If he was here, this shipment wasn't just drugs. It was part of something much bigger, and Sam was the final obstacle. She stepped on the gas, accelerating to 60 miles per hour. Even though the road was rougher than ever, the Blue Ridge Plateau opened up before her, revealing a flat expanse of 5 square miles, surrounded by cliffs and pine forests. The narrow turn was just a mile away, and Sam knew this was the moment she had to face. She flashed the headlights 3 times, signaling Rex and Luna to get ready. Both dogs stood up, pressing against the window, growling softly. You know what to do, she said, her voice laced with pride. They had once broken through enemy lines in Iraq with speed and coordination, and now they were about to do it again. The SUV was now just 100 feet away, 2 gunmen leaning out of the windows, firing away with automatic rifles. The sound of bullets roared as a few struck the vehicle, leaving larger dents in the reinforced steel. Sam ducked to avoid a round that skimmed past the windshield, shattering the left corner. Damn it! She gritted her teeth, pressing the final button on the control panel as a series of small steel spikes dropped from the underside of the car, scattering across the road behind them. The thwack-thwack echoed as the SUV's tires hit the spikes, wobbling but not coming to a complete stop. The helicopter descended lower, now just 500 feet above, its spotlight shining directly into the cabin. A loud bang echoed, not from a rifle, but from a grenade launcher. The grenade exploded about 30 feet behind the truck, sending rocks and debris flying, shaking the entire plateau. Sam floored the gas pedal, barreling into a tight turn, flanked by 50-foot cliffs that squeeze the road. She slammed on the brakes, stopping 20 feet from the bend, and turned to Rex and Luna. This is it, she commanded, opening the cabin door. Rex and Luna jumped out, diving into the darkness on either side of the cliff, disappearing like 2 ghosts. Sam pulled out her dagger, stepped out of the car, her eyes locked on the SUV now just 50 feet away, its tires flat but still moving forward. The helicopter swept its spotlight across the highlands, and from a distance, she could hear the sound of a small truck approaching. Marcus Kane had thrown everything he had into this, but Sam and her 2 dogs were ready to. The ultimate showdown on Blue Ridge had begun, and she wasn't about to let him win easily. The Blue Ridge Mountains trembled under blasts of grenade that exploded just 30 feet from Samantha, Sam, Reynolds' Peterbilt 389, debris flying through the icy air of a North Carolina night. Sam stood next to the truck, a dagger gripped tightly in her hand. Her eyes locked on the armored SUV now just 50 feet away, its tires deflated but still rolling thanks to its powerful engine. Rex and Luna had vanished into the shadows along the 50-foot-high cliffs flanking the narrow bend, the 2 German shepherds moving like ghosts, ready to strike at her command. Above, an upgraded Black Hawk helicopter descended to 400 feet, its spotlight sweeping across the plateau, illuminating each pine tree like a patient predator. The sound of a small truck engine echoed from afar, 2 vehicles now just a mile away, racing up the dirt road to assist the SUV. Sam took a deep breath. The blood on her shoulder throbbed, but she pushed it aside. "Marcus Kane," she murmured, watching the tall figure step out of the SUV. Dressed in tight black clothing, exuding the aura of a former Delta Force operative. He wore no mask, showing off the confidence of someone who knew he held all the cards. Next to him, the guy in the black suit from the Lumberton station raised a walkie-talkie, saying something to the helicopter. Samantha Reynolds. Marcus's voice crackled to the speaker of the SUV, cold and sharp like a military blade. "You've gone too far. Hand over the goods, and I'll let you live. This is your last chance." Sam smirked, not replying right away. She knew he didn't care about her life. He wanted the shipment, or something in the back that she didn't fully understand yet. The special medication for children at Duke Pediatric Medical Center was just a cover. The scheme ran deeper, darker, and Marcus Kane was the mastermind behind it all. She flashed the high beams 4 times, a signal that Rex and Luna had been trained for fiercest battles. From both sides of cliffs, their roars erupted, fierce and synchronized, echoing across the plateau like thunder. The 2 dogs charged out of the darkness, not attacking directly, but moving in a wide arc, forcing the SUV into a defensive position. A shooter from a car window fired rapidly, but Rex dodged the bullet with terrifying speed, darting right in front of him, causing the shot to veer off and hit the cliff face 20 feet away from Sam. Marcus raised his hand, signaling the gunman to stop firing. "Smart move, Reynolds," he said, his voice laced with a hint of amusement. "But do you really think 2 dogs can take down my entire team?" He stepped closer, about 30 feet away from Sam, holding a small device that wasn't a gun, but a remote control. "You know who I am, right? I've studied you, Iraq. 200 missions, the best K-9 unit in the Marine Corps. But you're not on the battlefield anymore. This is my turf." Sam tilted her head, her eyes locked on Marcus. "If you've studied me that closely," she replied, her voice icy, "then you know I never back down. And Rex, Luna feels the same way." She let out a sharp, short whistle, and both dogs sprang into action, not targeting Marcus, but going straight for the 2 gunmen by the SUV. Rex slammed into one guy, knocking the rifle out of his hands, while Luna bit into the other guy's sleeve, yanking him off the vehicle. A scream rang out, but they didn't bite deep. They were just incapacitating, just as Sam had trained them. Marcus pressed a button on the remote. A piercing screech erupted from the ultrasonic helicopter, the kind used to disrupt working dogs. But Rex and Luna didn't flinch. Sam had retrained them after Iraq, adjusting their response frequencies to counter technology like this. "That's your mistake, Kane," she said, stepping closer, her knife held out in front of her. "Do you really think money and machines can outmatch loyalty?" The helicopter descended to 200 feet. A rope was dropped, and 3 mercenaries in black gear slid down the plateau, just 100 feet away from Sam. 2 small trucks had now pulled up, stopping 500 feet around the bend, releasing 6 more gunmen. Marcus smirked slightly. "Loyalty, huh? Nice touch, but numbers will crush you." He signaled, and the mercenaries began to advance, automatic rifles raised high, aiming at Sam and the Peterbilt. Sam whistled again, the sound longer and more complex. Rex and Luna rushed back to her sides, standing like two living walls, growling fiercely. She pressed the last button on the remote control, and a series of super bright lights flashed on from the roof of the vehicle, combined with the remaining white smoke, creating a blinding light show within a 150-foot radius. The mercenaries flinched, a few of them firing wildly, but the bullets went astray, hitting the cliffs and the pine forest. She lunged at Marcus, dagger raised, aiming for the control stick. He dodged just in time, but lost his balance and fell to ground about 10 feet away from her. "Get her!" he roared, but Rex and Luna had already sprung into action, charging into the mercenaries. They didn't bite. Instead, they used their strength and speed to push them back, disrupting their formation. One guy fired at the rock wall. The bullet ricocheted, nearly hitting his own teammate. The helicopter swept its spotlight across the area, but the light from Sam's truck disoriented the pilot, forcing it to climb to 300 feet. Sam jumped forward, snatching the device from Marcus's hands and kicking him hard in the chest. "Game over, Kane," she said, her voice icy. But he chuckled, slowly getting back on his feet. "Not yet, Reynolds. Your shipment isn't just drugs. It's military-grade K9 data worth millions. You're just a pawn in this game." He raised his hand, and from the pickup truck, a gunman fired another grenade, this time hitting the truck's bed, causing it to shake violently. Sam turned around and saw smoke rising from the Peterbilt, but the cargo remained intact. She looked at Rex and Luna, seeing them standing firm beside her despite the explosions. "Data?" she murmured, then realized someone had hidden something in the shipment, and Marcus Kane wouldn't stop until he got it. The helicopter descended again, the mercenaries regrouping, and Sam knew the battle on Blue Ridge had reached its peak. She and her two dogs had to fight to the end, not just for the cargo, but for everything they had ever believed in. The Blue Ridge Mountains trembled under the force of the grenade that just exploded against the Peterbilt 389 truck, black smoke rising from the reinforced steel. But Samantha Sam Reynolds stood her ground, a dagger gripped tightly in her hand. Marcus Kane, a former Delta Force operative, struggled to his feet about 10 feet away, a sinister grin spreading across his face under the blinding headlights of the Black Hawk helicopter hovering 200 feet above. Rex and Luna, two German Shepherd in tactical vests, flanked Sam, growling fiercely despite the recent explosion. Marcus's mercenaries regrouped, 3 from a helicopter and 6 from a small truck, about 80 feet away, automatic rifles raised high, ready to fire. "Loyalty?" Marcus chuckled hoarsely, his voice laced with mockery as he wiped the dust off his face. "You think 2 dogs and a few cheesy words can take me down? The data in that truck contains military dog training formulas worth millions on the black market. You're just a driver, Reynolds, not a hero." Sam tilted her head, her eyes locked on Marcus, even though her heart raced wildly after his revelation. Data? It wasn't just a cure for children at Duke Children's Medical Center. Someone had hidden something in that shipment, and she had unwittingly become the last pawn in his scheme. "You're wrong, Kane," Sam replied, her voice as cold as ice. "I'm not a hero, I'm a soldier. And Rex, Luna aren't just dogs or teammates." She whistled a sharp, quick sound, and both dogs charged, not at Marcus but at the group of mercenaries. Rex slammed into one guy, knocking his gun to the ground, while Luna leaped over another, yanking the gun strap with her teeth and sent him sprawling about 50 feet away from Sam. Cries rang out, but they didn't attack directly, they just created chaos, just like Sam had trained them back in Iraq. Marcus raised his hand, signaling to the helicopter. A piercing shriek echoed, a sonic wave once more, but Rex and Luna stood their ground. "It's pointless," Sam said, stepping closer, her dagger held out in front of her. "I retrained them after hearing about guys like you, those who think technology can replace trust." Marcus gritted his teeth, his hand sliding down to his belt, pulling out a handgun. "You want to die for those dogs?" "Fine," he roared, aiming straight at Sam. But just before he pulled the trigger, the rumble of a truck engine echoed from the dirt road leading up to the highlands. The blinding headlights sliced through the darkness, accompanied by the blaring horn. Maria Torres came barreling in her Kenworth, just 200 feet from the turn. "Sam, it's me." Maria shouted over the CB radio, her voice filled with determination. Ben got through to the cops. They're on their way. 5 miles out. Hold them off. Maria's truck slammed into one of Marcus's 2 small trucks, pushing it back 30 feet and throwing the mercenaries into a panic, their formation breaking apart. Sam seized the opportunity, charging at Marcus with a dagger raised, aiming for the gun's grip. He managed to dodge just in time, but Sam delivered a powerful kick to his knee, sending him crashing down. "Rex, Luna, now!" she shouted. The 2 dogs sprang into action, launching themselves at the remaining mercenaries, using their strength and speed to push them back, causing guns to drop and breaking their formation. The helicopter swept its spotlight across the scene, but the glare from Maria's vehicle and the Peterbilt disoriented the pilot, forcing it to climb to 300 feet. Marcus clumsily got to his feet, the handgun still in his hand. "You don't understand, Reynolds," he roared, aiming to shoot again. "This data isn't just money, it's power. Organizations around the world would pay billions to have a pack of dogs like yours." A loud bang echoed as the bullet grazed Sam's left shoulder, right where her old wound was, causing her to sway, but she didn't fall. Gritting her teeth, she charged again, plunging the dagger into Marcus's hand, making the gun drop to the ground 5 feet away from him. He screamed in pain, but still chuckled maniacally. "You can't win," he said, clutching his wound. "I have the entire Blackthorn security network backing me up, and they won't stop." Sam stood tall, panting, her eyes locked on Marcus with a piercing glare. "Blackthorn security?" she muttered, the name stirring memories of whispers in the military about a notorious private military contractor known for trading in military technology and data. If they were behind Marcus, then this shipment wasn't just data, it was a key to an illegal army of attack dogs. The sound of police sirens echoed from afar, less than 3 miles from the Highlands, red and blue lights flickering in the darkness. Maria burst out of the truck, wrench in hand, rushing over to Sam. "Are you okay?" she shouted, her eyes scanning the group of mercenaries retreating under the assault of Rex and Luna. Sam nodded, wiping blood from her shoulder. "I'm fine," she replied, her voice hoarse. "But it's not over yet. Kane isn't doing this alone." Rex and Luna returned to Sam's side, standing protectively in front of her, growling at Marcus. He backed away, his eyes darting around as the helicopter began to rise, preparing to retreat. "This isn't over," he snarled, then dashed toward the rope from a helicopter, climbing up before Sam could stop him. The remaining mercenaries fled toward the truck, but the sound of police sirens was now just a mile away, and Sam knew there was no way out. She knelt down, wrapping her arms around Rex and Luna, feeling their warm breaths. "Good job, you two," she whispered, her voice tinged with emotion. Their loyalty and camaraderie had pushed Marcus back, at least for now, but Sam knew this victory was just the beginning. The data in the truck was still a threat, and Blackthorn security wouldn't rest. But with Rex, Luna, and people like Maria and Ben by her side, Sam was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The Blue Ridge Highlands were bathed in flickering red and blue lights as a North Carolina State Police car raced down the dirt road, less than a mile from Samantha Sam Reynolds. Marcus Kane's upgraded Black Hawk helicopter soared into the night sky, carrying him and the remaining mercenaries, leaving behind 2 small trucks and an armored SUV now silent amidst the dust. Sam knelt beside the Peterbilt 389, cradling Rex and Luna, her 2 panting German shepherds who stood firm, their tactical vests flashing red like tiny flames in the darkness. Maria Torres stood next to her, gripping a wrench tightly, her eyes scanning the Highlands to ensure there were no remaining threats. "We did it, Sam," Maria said, her voice tinged with a mix of disbelief and relief. "I can't believe you, and these 2 dogs just held off an entire army." Sam looked up, offering a faint smile even though her left shoulder throbbed from 2 wounds, one from a bullet that grazed her on I-95, the other from a shot fired by Marcus. "It wasn't just me," she replied, gently patting Rex and Luna on the head. "It was all of us, you, Ben, and these 2. I couldn't have done it without any of you." The sound of the police siren was only 500 feet away, and Sam heard Ben Hayes' voice crackling to the CB radio. "Sam, the cops are here. I've informed them about Marcus Kane and Blackthorn Security. They're in touch with the FBI. Are you okay? Sam grabbed the walkie-talkie from Maria's hand, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. I'm fine, Ben. The shipment is still secure. I'll check on it right away. Thank you, and Maria, you're my biggest support tonight. Ben chuckled through the static. No need to be polite. Maria and I will meet you in Durham. We got to get that shipment to the kids. Sam stood up and walked over to the Peterbilt truck, where the black smoke from the grenade had begun to dissipate. She unlocked the cargo hold and checked the specialized medicine containers. All were intact, although a few had scratches from bullets and the explosion. But Marcus's words echoed in her mind. Military K-9 data worth millions. She scanned the containers and then noticed a small, unlabeled box hidden among the medicine she didn't remember seeing when she picked up the shipment. She picked it up and opened it. Inside was a small military-grade hard drive, wrapped in shockproof material. Damn it, Sam muttered, gripping the hard drive tightly. This was what Marcus wanted, not drugs, but data for training service dogs, possibly from the very program of the Marine Corps she had once been part of. If Blackthorn Security got their hands on it, they could create a whole line of dogs like Rex and Luna, but not for protection, rather, to sell to the highest bidder. She shoved the hard drive into her bag and turned to Rex and Luna. We can't let this fall into their hands, she said, her voice low but filled with determination. The police car stopped 100 feet away from her, and 4 officers stepped out, guns raised but lowered when they saw Sam and Maria with their hands up. A middle-aged officer, his badge reading Sergeant Carter, approached. Samantha Reynolds? He asked, his eyes scanning the battlefield of wrecked vehicles and signs of conflict. We got a call from Ben Hayes about what happened here. Sam took a deep breath, stepped forward, and extended her hand. I'm Sam, she replied. Marcus Kane, former Delta Force, and Blackthorn Security just attacked me to steal this shipment. But it's not just drugs. There's military data in there. You need to notify the FBI right away. Carter frowned, looking at Rex and Luna standing beside Sam. Military data? And you held them off with 2 dogs. Sam gave a faint smile, petting Luna's head. They're not just dogs. They're teammates. We worked together in Iraq. Over 200 missions. Tonight is just another day. Carter nodded, signaling for his team to check Marcus's truck. We'll handle the scene. The FBI is on their way from Raleigh. They want to talk to you. But what about that shipment? What are you planning to do? Sam looked to the east, where Durham was 70 miles from the Blue Ridge Mountains. I have to deliver it to the Duke Children's Medical Center, she said, her voice steady. The kids waiting for their medicine can't wait any longer. Carter nodded, ordering an officer to escort her. Go ahead. We'll follow once the FBI arrives. You did great, Reynolds. Maria patted Sam on the shoulder, grinning widely. I'll go with you. My truck is still running fine. I won't leave you alone with those kids. Sam smiled back, warmth spreading through her chest, even though her body felt completely worn out. She climbed into the Peterbilt cab, with Rex and Luna jumping in right after her, sitting on either side like 2 loyal sentinels. The engine roared to life, steam rising up, but the steel machine started up, ready for the final leg of the journey. As the vehicle rolled off the plateau, Sam looked at Rex and Luna, seeing the determination in their eyes, warriors who had faced death alongside her, now helping her save children she had never met. We can do this, you two, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Their loyalty and camaraderie had triumphed over Marcus Kane, not with guns or money, but with an unshakable trust. But Sam knew Blackthorn Security was still out there, and the hard drive in her pocket was a threat that hadn't been neutralized. She glanced ahead, the I-95 highway stretching out before them. Once more this victory was theirs. But the story was far from over. The first light of dawn broke over the horizon as Samantha Sam Reynolds rolled her Peterbilt 389 down I-95, heading toward Durham, North Carolina. Rex and Luna sprawled in the cabin, 2 German shepherds breathing steadily after a long night of battling on the Blue Ridge Highlands, but their eyes remained open, alert like soldiers who never abandoned their post. Sam gripped the steering wheel tightly, her left shoulder aching from 2 wounds, one from a bullet that grazed her on the highway, the other from a shot fired by Marcus Kane, but she brushed it off. In her jacket pocket, A small hard drive containing military K-9 data lay heavy, a constant reminder. The fight against Blackthorn security wasn't truly over yet. Behind her, Maria Torres's Kenworth rolled alongside, half a mile away, its headlights still shining even though dawn was breaking. In the rear-view mirror, Sam saw Sergeant Carter's police car escorting them from about 300 feet away, the red and blue lights flashing like a promise that she was no longer alone. The CB radio crackled to life, Maria's voice bursting with excitement. "Sam, I just talked to Ben. He's waiting for us in Durham with hot coffee. I can't believe we made it through last night." Sam offered a faint smile, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. "Thanks, Maria. I owe you and Ben a big one without you too. I don't know how I would have held on." Maria chuckled through the waves. "Don't forget the real stars, Rex and Luna. I swear, the way they handled those mercenaries. I've never seen anything like it." Sam glanced over at the two dogs, her hand gently rubbing Rex's head. "They're the best teammates anyone could dream of," she replied, her voice tinged with emotion. "But we're not done yet. Blackthorn security is still out there, and this data," she trailed off, a heavy feeling spreading in her chest. Marcus Kane might have escaped, but he was just part of a bigger network she had unwittingly stumbled into when she took on this shipment. The Peterbilt rumbled as Sam accelerated to 65 miles per hour, with Durham just 50 miles away. The shipment of specialized medication for children at the Duke Children's Medical Center was still safe in the back, despite a few crates being scuffed from bullets and grenades. But the hard drive in her bag was what kept her tossing and turning data on training military working dogs, possibly from the very program she had once been a part of the Marines. If Blackthorn got their hands on it, they would turn dogs like Rex and Luna into commodities, not teammates, not warriors, but tools for the highest bidder. "Never," Sam muttered, her grip tightening on the steering wheel. The radio crackled to life again, this time with Sergeant Carter's voice. "Sam, the FBI just contacted us. They're at the Blue Ridge Highlands, handling the scene. They want to meet you in Durham to talk about Marcus Kane and Blackthorn security. Do you have any message for them?" Sam took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the road stretching ahead. "Tell them I have the data that Kane wants to steal," she replied, her voice as solid as steel. "It's with me, and I won't hand it over to anyone but someone I trust. They need to send someone to the hospital right away. I want to wrap this up." Carter paused for a moment, then said, "Got it? I'll report back. But Sam, you did great last night. Not many people can hold off a team like that with just 2 dogs and a few drivers." Sam smiled, feeling a warm glow spread through her, even though her body was exhausted. "It's not just the dogs, Sergeant Carter," she replied. "They're family, and I have friends like Maria and Ben. That's the real strength." Durham came into view as the sun rose higher, its golden rays shining through the cracked windshield of the Peterbilt. Sam slowed down to 55 miles per hour as they entered the city limits, just 5 miles away from Duke Children's Medical Center. She glanced at Rex and Luna, noticing them sitting up, their ears perked as if sensing the destination. "Almost there, you two," she whispered, gently stroking Luna's head. "We've saved the shipment. Now it's time to deliver it to the kids." But when the car stopped in front of the hospital, a group of people in black suits stepped out, not doctors, but FBI agents, led by a tall, slender woman with a badge that read Special Agent Lynn Carter, sharing the same last name as Sergeant Carter, which might just be a coincidence. She approached, her sharp gaze scanning Sam, Rex, and Luna. "Samantha Reynolds?" Lynn asked, her voice deep yet professional. "I'm Agent Carter, FBI. We heard about Marcus Kane, Blackthorn security, and the data last night. You have it, don't you?" Sam stepped out of the car, with Rex and Luna following closely behind, standing like 2 sentinels. She pulled the hard drive from her bag and held it up. "Here," she said, her voice icy. "But I want to know where it's going. I'm not handing it over to anyone until I'm sure it won't fall into the hands of someone like Kane." Lynn nodded, extending a stack of documents. "I understand. This is an order from the Department of Defense. We're forming a task force to take down Blackthorn and networks like them. This data will be secured, analyzed, and used to prevent those who want to exploit military working dogs." Sam furrowed her brow, glancing at the stack of documents, then at Rex and Luna. "Special Forces?" she asked. Lynn offered a faint smile. "That's right. And we want you to join not just as a witness, but as the leader. Your experience in Iraq, how you handled things last night. No one is more suited than you. Rex and Luna will also be official members, not assets, but teammates." Sam fell silent, a mix of surprise and pride swelling within her. She had once been a truck driver, a veteran wanting a peaceful life, but last night had changed everything. Maria stepped out of the Kenworth, patting Sam on the shoulder. "You heard that, right?" She smiled. "The reluctant hero. I'll ride along with you in Ben's driver network, and I'm ready to support you anytime." Sam turned to Rex and Luna, seeing the determination in their eyes, warriors who would never leave her side, whether on the battlefield or the highway. "What do you guys think?" she asked softly. Rex's tail thumped hard against the floor of the truck, while Luna let out a low growl, her answer clearer than any words. Sam handed the hard drive to Lynn, his voice steady. "I'm in, but Rex and Luna are my teammates. We make all decisions together." Lynn nodded, her eyes shining with respect. "All right then. Welcome to the task force, Reynolds. Your new journey starts here." As the doctors from the hospital came out to receive the shipment of medicine, Sam watched them carry it inside, knowing that the children would be saved thanks to last night. She climbed into the Peterbilt, with Rex and Luna jumping in right behind her, ready for the next leg of the journey. Blackthorn security was still out there, but with Maria, Ben, and her 2 loyal dogs by her side, Sam felt no fear. She didn't choose to be a hero, but if that's what it took to protect dogs like Rex and Luna, she wouldn't hesitate. The highway stretched out ahead, and Sam knew this was just the beginning of a larger battle. But she was ready because loyalty is priceless. Thank you for joining Sam, Rex, and Luna on their thrilling journey along the I-95 and the Blue Ridge Mountains. From moments that were as tense as a tightrope walk to the triumph of loyalty, this story proves that camaraderie can conquer any darkness. If your heart resonates with their resilience, please hit like and subscribe to Legendary Narratives so you won't miss the next inspiring tales. We truly appreciate every view and every emotion you share on this journey, a story about trust, courage, and an unbuyable strength. Goodbye for now, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay tough, stay proud, and see you soon.